Well, good evening, everyone. I want to thank you all for coming to the Women in Non-Traditional Career Seminar. It's a wonderful event. Just want to let everyone know that when it comes to jobs, there's no such thing as a man's job or a woman's job. Women today can do anything they put their minds to it. Women make up 25% of the workforce when it comes to non-traditional careers. So I want to thank you guys for coming here today. We have a wonderful lineup of speakers. Please, when they're speaking and they have a break, ask questions, because this is how you're going to get to know about what obstacles that they face at their job and working in a non-traditional career. So these women have been working in their field for quite some time. So please ask questions, listen to them, and we hope that you learn. And for all the prospective students, we would love to have you here at Sowela as potential students, because we have wonderful careers in non-traditional: welding, instrumentation, P-Tech, automotive, a lot of different fields. So we love to have you here as a student. And at the end, we have question and answer. So before you leave, we want to make sure all your questions about Sowela get answered. So again, thank you for being here with us this evening, and we hope that you learned a lot from these lovely ladies. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Laverne. Good evening, everyone. I am Dedra Walton. I am the Assistant Director of Recruitment and Career Services, and I will be announcing each presenter or speaker before they come up. I'd like to I'm not going to say a whole lot about each speaker because I want them to talk about themselves and give you their stories, but I would like to say that our speakers are all, well, besides one, but all are graduates of Sowela, who have wonderful careers, who have a story to tell. So listen, ask questions. Again, as Mr. Laverne said, you're going to be very pleased to hear what these folks have to say. If you are here and you're interested in a non-traditional program and you thought, oh, I'd love to go into welding, but is it women in that program? Or I'd love to go into process technology or automotive or aviation maintenance technology, but I don't know that I'd feel comfortable. Well, these young ladies will be able to give you their stories. Our first presenter is Ms. Rachel Fast. She is a graduate in aviation maintenance technology. Faust, please welcome Ms. Rachel Faust. Do you want the mic or you think you want to? Yes, I think you want, no.
Hi, everyone.
Let's see if we can get it in here.
I'm shorter. It's okay.
I'm sorry.
No, don't worry about it. Yeah, I'm a little bit shorter. My name is Rachel Fast. I work at Citadel right over there at Chenault in avionics. I'm an avionics technician. I graduated from aviation maintenance program here at Sowela in December of 2022.
When you first started at Sowela?
Yes. When I first started at Sowela, I was 28 years old. So I had gone through a lot of different paths before I even considered coming here. I went to LSU for a year and tried to major in business. It was not for me. I was taking classes that, in my eyes, had absolutely nothing to do with anything that I wanted to learn. And none of it was hands-on. All of it was book theory. So I left there and I tried a lot of different careers. I was a waitress, I baked cookies, I cleaned, I even have my cosmetology license. But during that time, I became a mom to those beautiful boys right there. And I realized that I really needed to find a career that can support them how I wanted to support them, to be able to give them the life that I wanted to give them. And when I looked into Sowela, the aviation program just really stuck out. I truly don't know why. It just looked interesting and hands-on and like a big challenge. When I was looking at the aviation program, I talked to a teacher here who really encouraged me. She actually used to teach at my old high school, so it was easy to talk to her. The program for aviation maintenance is very demanding. It's Monday through Friday, 8 to 3. I had no idea how I was going to do it. And she simply said, "You'll figure it out. It'll work out." And I'm glad I trusted her, because at that point I didn't really trust myself too much. But I went for it, and I'm very glad that I did. I didn't know any women in aviation maintenance, absolutely none starting out. So I turned to Instagram, of all things, and I found women in that program, and not just women who were changing tires or changing oil. These women were building structures for the aircraft. They were doing engine test runs. They were running wires. I mean, anything you could think of, and I had never seen that before. I sent a few personal messages, and I want to say every one of those women answered me back. And that's why I chose to speak today, because it meant a lot that they answered me back. If you're thinking about going into aviation, I just want to say there's no experience required, absolutely nothing. If you're trying to learn, this is where you start. There's no prerequisites, there's no test you have to take to begin the class. You just start it. The teachers here were really awesome. None of your questions were stupid. I mean, I did not know how to work any of the tools. And with doing that, you build your communication skills also. You really learn how to ask the questions and how to figure out what you don't know. And the students there too, they were very encouraging. I was really nervous starting out. That first day was one of the hardest that I've ever done, but the students there, they didn't laugh, they didn't make fun. None of my questions were ridiculous. So if you're thinking about it, if you have that gut feeling, go for it. There's nobody that's holding you back, that shouldn't be holding you back. While I was in school, I was able to get a job at Lohr over at Regional Airport working on smaller airplanes, and I really, really love that job. And that led to me getting an interview at Citadel, where I am today. I had an interview the day before the graduation ceremony. It was lined up. I was able to leave school and go straight into making money. And the amount of financial freedom, the way that I can support my family now, especially as a single mom, is just completely so much more than I would have expected. And just going to Sowela for those 2 years to be able to reach that, it's amazing. It's more than I could have ever asked for. So yeah, if you're thinking about it, go for it. You can start at any time. You can change your mind on what you want to do, but the time's going to pass anyway. You might as well answer that question in your head of if you want to try it or not.
How did you pay for school?
I qualified for a grant, so that itself was a blessing, but to be able to finish school without a huge amount of debt, something I'm extremely thankful for, and another reason why I love Sowela. Like, that was a blessing. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, Rachel. It's very informative. Okay, our next speaker is for Sowela's program, which is the Chemical Laboratory Technology Program, and she is a graduate. Please welcome Ms. Allison Ballou. Hold mic. Yeah. Okay.
Hi, everyone. My name is Allison Ballou. I graduated from Sowela in 2018 in the Chemical Laboratory Program. Before I came to Sowela, I was at McNeese, and I had quite a few major changes. I went from nursing to radiology to the medical laboratory program, and I was at the point in my education where we start our clinical portion, where I had about the same amount of time at McNeese that I would have finished here as graduating from Sowela. So I decided to make a career change last minute, And I came to Sowela, started the chemical laboratory program, and I finished within about, I think, a year and a half, only 3 semesters. And through my education at Sowela, there's a lot to learn in that program. I feel like it sets you up for success from the beginning with the speech classes, the data management classes, the physics, all of the chemical classes, the new technology and instrumentation that they have in this program. Our laboratories in our refineries locally have this same instrumentation. You're getting a lot of hands-on experience, getting to learn how this instrumentation works from start to finish, and analyzing samples, and the way that this sets you up, the knowledge that you gain from this, I feel like kind of gives you a leg up from other people because of the way that this program is set up. After I graduated from Sowela, my first job was a month later. I started at a third-party lab in Sulphur, and I was there for a short amount of time before I started at a new chemical plant in Sulphur, Lotte Chemical, and I was there through the startup of that program and that whole industry startup. When I was there for 3 years, and then I moved to where I currently am at the Phillips 66 lab in our specialties group. And I will say that throughout my education and my career, which is only 6 years so far, don't be afraid to ask questions as a woman. And find a mentor or somebody that you can look up to or get advice, because that is the best way that you will learn, is from someone else's experiences, and it will just give you success in the future.
Were you able to find a mentor at Phillips 66 or at the?
My previous position, I found a mentor, yes. And she currently works in another lab, but in a management position. But she gives me advice when I have interviews or any type of questions when it comes to, dealing with things on a day-to-day basis.
And how did
Yeah.
you find the classes, like your chemical laboratory classes here at Sowela?
Online. I just looked at, I was still at McNeese as a student, and I was not really happy with going into the medical field. I realized that I had to draw blood, and I was like, okay, maybe I need to look for a different path. So that's when I started looking and found the chemical laboratory program at
Were the
Sowela.
classes here at Sowela, did you find them difficult? Were you able to get the help you needed?
Yes, they are tough, but they are tough for a reason. You learn and take everything you can from that program. I feel like it really does set you up for success. I really do.
Awesome. All right.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Rachel. Very informative. Thank you so much. Okay, our next speaker is from the Commercial Driver's License, the CDL training. Sowela has a CDL program that goes through Workforce Solutions. It's a shorter-term program, and I am just amazed at the amount of women we see who are truck drivers or drive larger vehicles. It is a lucrative business, and that is why Sowela offered this particular program through Workforce Solutions. And this next young lady will be able to be as informative as possible about her experiences. Please welcome Ms. Taylor Winfrey.
Hello, everyone. My name is Taylor Winfrey. I'm a current graduate from last year's CDL class in June. I graduated in 16 in criminal justice, so it's a completely different field. Worked in my field as a police dispatcher, did the many clerks in the courthouse, did my time in my actual field. it's funny how I ended up doing the CDL class. It was free for Calcasieu residents last year. And my husband was supposed to be the one to do the class. Well, he travels as well, so he ended up going on the road for a job. So I'm like, I see that word free. I'm like, so I ain't gotta pay for it. I'm not about to let this go to waste. A free certification, hey, run me that, let me get that. So I called, got information. I'm like, hey, my husband was supposed to do it. Can I do it? And they was like, absolutely. So ended up doing everything in a day, ended up going, get my permit first, doing my DOT physical, everything you have to do to be a driver. So that happened. At the time, I was working at home, but I had stopped working once I started going to CDL school. My husband was traveling, working, like I said before. It was hard. It was hot. I had never driven a stick in my life, even in a car, but they taught us on a manual stick in an actual big truck. I was grinding gears. The truck was turning off. I was going through it. Like, I didn't know how I was gonna make it. But we had a great instructor, Mr. Byron Knox. Like, he was very patient with all of us. We asked questions. He let us grind our gears because he knew it was gonna happen. I had accidentally put an application in on Indeed for a traveling mobile technician, and they needed a driver. I'm like, no, I'm not gonna get it. Well, 2 months later, just randomly, they called me. I'm like, who is these people? I don't even remember putting in an application. So ended up accepting a job, did it for about 11 months, traveled to 35 states in about a 10-month span, driven all those states. I've been in the mountains, I've been in the valleys, I've been in the desert, I've driven in rain, sleet, snow. I've taught a couple of men about their trucks, like that, yeah, that part is named this, that part is named that, yeah, like I did the thing. Stop to all truck stops is crazy, the looks that you get being a woman, being that I'm under the truck getting down and dirty, putting, air in my own tires, filling up all of my fluids and everything. They like, hey, you sure you got it? Sir, I definitely got it. I can show you a few things probably. But yeah, I went out there, got down and dirty, but I was just like, it's time for me to come back home. So I ended up coming back home, and I completely switched into the medical field from being a driver. I was driving around a mobile doctor's office, and I was doing occupational health out of it. So I was driving it and working out of the truck that I was driving across country. So I did the whole East Coast, done part of the West Coast. Of course, I've done the South. We know about the South. It was very rewarding. Now I'm in the medical field completely. I've given up the truck life. I think I did my little time. That time that I did on the road was enough. And it was time for me to come back home to my boo, which is right there videoing me, and my family. So yes, now I'm at Alice Medical, currently working as a medical assistant. I'm actually doing the DOT physicals and everything now for the students coming in the CDL class. Every time I see that they're there for that, I'm like, yeah, I did it, keep going, never give up, because it is hard. I failed twice on my driving part, and I broke down each time. And that third time when I passed, I cried even harder. All my classmates was there, my teacher was there. It was just a rewarding experience. And I'm gonna tell this story for the rest of my life, that was the hardest piece of plastic license that I've ever worked for in my entire life. But it is definitely worth it. Having a CDL, you will always have a job. You will always have opportunities. So if you ready to get your CDL, go ahead and get it. So that's all I have.
Thank you so much. Okay, our next speaker is a graduate of Sowela in the Drafting and Design Technology program, and boy, did she have a story to tell, a wonderful story to tell. Please welcome Miss Patricia Stoddard. I always murder your last name.
Practice makes perfect. Okay, so that was kind of a lead up, my story. So first, a question that I ask myself a lot when this comes up is, what's a non-traditional career, right? So a non-traditional career, and what we're talking about is for women. But I feel like a non-traditional career can be for a woman, a demographic, or an age, and here comes the story. So I went back to school when I was almost 40. I had 2 kids. I had gone to college before. I stopped going to college. I went the roundabout way to do the whole thing. And I got to a point where my kids were a little older. I was ready to get back into school. I knew I wanted to do, something that I found interesting and that I enjoyed, but that was also conducive to having a family. So I Googled it, which is not really, sometimes it's good and sometimes it's bad, and it worked out for me. But I basically picked something that checked all my boxes, and that's how I found it. I knew the things that I like. Drafting and design is very detail-oriented. It's got a little bit of math. It's got some geometry, and those are big, scary words to a lot of people, but that's not the main point of it. It's a very detail-oriented thing. If you don't know what it is, go drive by one of the plants, and you see all the piping, and you see all things are going through, all of the piping, the big tanks, all of that. So basically what drafting and design is you're making the blueprints for the plant, either for instrumentation or electrical, because the stuff has to get there somehow, so it's got to be pushed through, that kind of thing, to tell it what to do, or the piping, you basically draw out the piping, and that's pretty much what it is. It's very cut and dry, but it is very detail-oriented, because obviously if something's wrong, things go awry. And that was really interesting to me. So I didn't actually know that I was getting into a non-traditional career. I just checked all my boxes and showed up one day. And, when Sowela came up, I graduated from high school a really long time ago, and I remember Sowela. It was like 2 buildings, and I think one of them might have been metal, and there was like an airplane hangar or something back there, and I was like, that's not a college. Like, what, why is this even coming up on the radar? And I drove out here, and I was blown away. I was like, this is legit. This is actually a place where people go to learn things and have careers. So I had some friends that actually worked here, thank goodness, because they walked me through the process, because it had been so long since I had done anything like that. And just a side note, Sowela was such a home for me for so many reasons, but I never, ever, ever felt like a number, ever. If you have a question, or you have a problem, or you have an issue, my favorite story, and this wasn't even about me, it just really touched my heart. There was a student at one time that couldn't get to class because of some kind of financial hardship. She couldn't get her car fixed or something. Do y'all remember this? And they helped her. They literally were like, what do you need? And they helped her get to class. So as much as they talk about ask the questions from your professors, get a mentor, talk to other students, the people that work here are so invested in success, no matter what you're in. So that was kind of off on a jaunt, but back to non-traditional. So again, I didn't know that I was getting into non-traditional. I showed up on the first day, and in my first drafting class, the teacher gets up there, and he very quickly informed us that this was going to be really, really hard, and over half of us wouldn't make it. And I was like, well, that seems a little extreme, And he was right. He was right. Over half didn't make it. But I would like to just go ahead on record and say that the people that did make it, 90% of them were women. Just saying. Just saying. So anyway, it was really hard, but I got so much support. I got set up with an internship in my last semester, and that led into having a job. But I will say it became more and more clear to me that I was in a non-traditional career as I went on. Again, because of my gender, my age was, how can you possibly know anything? You just got into this and you're old or whatever, But personally, it was just drive for me to be like, oh, really? Well, let me just show you, So what I would just say is work ethic doesn't define, isn't defined by your gender. It isn't defined by your age. It isn't defined by your demographic. Find something that checks your boxes, that you find interesting, and just do it. And this is the best place to do it because they're so invested in your success. And if you decide midway you want to do something else, which a lot of people do, they will sit down with you and help you figure something out. Let's go in a different direction, because the last thing they want to do is have you walk away and not be the best version of yourself and not feel fantastic about everything you've accomplished. So again, it's not going to be easy. People are going to think you can't do it. And I have a mentor, and my mentor was the biggest hurdle for me because he's one of my best friends, and he is a 75-year-old man who thought I could not do the job specifically because I was a woman, and told me to my face. And I stood right up and I said, "Sir, I can do it. Stop looking at my gender and get out of my way." And from that moment on, we have been best buddies. I call him all the time, he calls me all the time, and we work together perfectly. So don't let anyone say that you can't do something, no matter what your situation is, financial, gender, age, anything like that. Stand up for yourself, push through. They may not be your best friends in the end, but they're gonna look back and be like, well, she did it. So that's my advice. Find your own way and make it happen. So, yep, that's it.
Thank you so much, Patricia. For process technology, we were scheduled to have two presenters. Ms. Chastity Ware-Grieve, if my folks who work shift work was called in at the last moment, so I'm sure y'all know that can happen. Quickly, it can happen. However, we are delighted. We had two speakers. So for process technology, which is a very popular program here at Sowela, please welcome Ms. Charlotte Jones. She is with Phillips 66.
Hi, everybody. My name is Charlotte Jones, and yes, I work for Phillips 66. I am not a graduate of Sowela. I am a graduate of McNeese State University. However, I received my degree over 20 years ago. I have been working for Phillips 66 for the past 19 and a half years. 14 of those years were in process technology. And then I had the opportunity to bid over into the lab, where I am currently working as a lab technician. I have a lot of stories and a lot of experience with anything that can possibly be your fear that you can overcome. So I would totally embrace any questions, because I've experienced it all, because I've come. Prior to going into the process technology field, I was in finance whenever I switched my major over to P-Tech, because I was encouraged by a lot of people, that it was a female-friendly atmosphere, and, you don't have to worry about guys messing with you and all that. Well, I'm here to tell you, get that out your head, because they will mess with you just because you're a female. But don't let that give you any fear, because you are more than capable of doing any job a male can do. Don't let them know and have more knowledge of anything intimidate you in any way, because you can learn it. You can do any job that is out in industry. You will face, I'm gonna be real with you, you're gonna face everything. When you're out there, when you leave out of here, you're not gonna be in a classroom anymore. So it's not gonna be friendly. It's not gonna be always politically correct. You're going to hear a lot of language. You're going to hear a lot of stuff that you may not want to hear, but I'm telling you, whenever you walk in that control room, they're going to look at you and they're going to see female, and however you walk in there, that's how they're going to treat you, and that's where they're going to go from there. So I'm going to just tell you like this: Don't think because, you go through the program and everybody has to be nice to you and you have good instructors and everybody wants you to be your friend, and because you're all going through this. It's not going to be that way when you get in the workforce, but you can do it because I've done it. And you see, I'm not this big old person or anything. So I've had these guys that just, to my face have said, well, you're a girl, you can't do that. Or you're a girl, do you know what you're doing? That kind of stuff. And you know what you know is what I tell anybody. And I've been an adopted mentor to a lot of females that have come in the refinery that I don't even know who they are, but they find out who I am, and they ask me questions, and I give them the absolute honest truth of what it is, because I don't want you to have false expectations. Nobody. But I'm going to tell you this. If you get in this program and you stick with it, you can buy yourself a nice house. You can buy yourself a nice car. You can put your kids through school. You can take trips you never dreamed you'd be able to afford or any of that, because you'll have those finances to be able to do that. And you won't have the dependency on the government assistance or male assistance. I'm not man bashing or anything, but I'm a strong supporter of females because I am a female. And I don't want any of y'all to not be able to make it in this world. So, like I said, I don't have kids or anything, but I do have an elderly parent that I support. I do have nieces that I mentor to and other relatives that look to me for advice, and I give it to them. And because I'm all about our gender excelling. So if you have any questions for me, I'm wide open. I will answer it completely honest. Nothing's off the table. And even when I leave here today, Sowela has my email address. If it's something y'all want to go to instructor with, they can contact me, and I will give you any answer that you're looking for.
Now, Ms. Jones.
Yes.
You have been in your, in process technology for several years.
Yes.
But I do remember you talking about you were switching, well, not really switching, but going more into Chem Lab. Is it, or into the lab?
I currently I currently work in the lab.
Okay.
That's my current position. I bid over from operations.
Okay, so you
Yes.
came over from operations?
Yes.
And I bet you probably do live in the lab. Do you
Yeah,
live in
I
the
feel
lab?
like I live in the lab. I feel like I do. And the reason I bid from operations, not that I hated my job that I had in operations working in the field, because I did. I loved that you interacted with so many different people. I mean, the diversity is crazy. Like, you're going to feel like some people are speaking a different language, but they just happen to live, somewhere you've never been. And so it's a learning experience in a lot of ways, because everybody that you interact with, they bring something to the table. But I left out of operations because I was just getting drowned in overtime. I was just tired. So I felt like, you know what, I need a little bit more work and home life balance. So when I had an opportunity, I bid over to the lab, and I love the lab too. I just work for a great company, I feel like, because they provide me everything I need financially. Hurricane time come through. They supported everyone that worked there. I mean, if you didn't have lights in your house, well, guess what? Phillips 66 provided you with a generator if you needed it. Who does that? The fuel that you needed to operate a generator, they gave you that. They even supported you if you didn't have a place to live when you got back home. They helped you that way financially. So I work for a great place. The place is great. It's just that, people are people. And you're going to interact with some people that feel like you shouldn't be there because you're female. Number one, they're going to feel like you should be at home. And if your mom, they're going to be like, well, why do you leave your kids? You're going to get hit with a lot of negativity. The job is great. Y'all all could do it. It's just that you just got to stick with it. And like I said, just learn and know what you know and be ready to apply. Because I'm telling you, 20 years ago, I didn't know anything about a pump or compressor, where you put oil in it, none of that. So it's a great job, it's a great field, y'all can do it. Don't let nothing intimidate you, and hey, I'm like her, I'm like, man, Sowela has all of this? I didn't even know. And I can remember passing down here and I was like, what is that place? You know, because I seen maybe one or two buildings. I didn't know, I thought it was part of the airport or Chenault or something. But this place is phenomenal. I would have loved the opportunity to go to school here, but like I said, I went to school 20 years ago, and so I just went on and finished where I started because they had the program. But I wish you all the best and lots of success, and ask me anything.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Next is vehicle maintenance and repair technology. We had 2 speakers scheduled, and I believe, Mr. Richard, if you'd like to take her place, you're more than welcome to do so. Mahogany Lewis was unable to be here, but Ms. Denise Dowling, who is, Mahogany, you are here. Wonderful. Would both of you ladies like to come up or would y'all? Okay, come on up, both ladies. Please welcome Ms. Denise Dowling and Ms. Mahogany Lewis. And we said both ladies because they were in class around the same time, so they're kind of joined at the hip, but not really, but sort of, kind of. Come on up.
So my name is Mahogany Lewis. I graduated in December as a vehicle maintenance and repair tech. I currently work in a diesel. I work at an 18-wheeler shop. I work at an 18-wheeler shop currently. I've been there for 3 months. Don't know how much longer I would like to be there, but I actually like my job. I don't know what else to say. I'm sorry.
Hi, I'm Denise. I am probably the youngest of all the females here. I'm only 20. I was the youngest last time, I'm sure. I graduated Sowela March of this year, actually, and I graduated high school in 22. So as soon as I graduated, the August following, I hopped straight into school. So no breaks. And I didn't take a break during the summertime for Sowela. I also took summer classes all the way up to this March. Now I work for Nissan, which is actually the dream company I wanted to work with. I originally applied to Hickson, where, you know, GMC, Chevrolet, sorts like that. But on the way back, I had Nissan call me back because I put the application in. I was really hoping on a prayer because I did not know they would take someone fresh out of school with no experience. And the people I've met there were experienced techs, you know, they've been to different places, they work with everything, and I'm just a girl. So I applied, and they called me back. They were like, hey, did you put in an application? You know, did you speak with so-and-so? And I was like, well, it was said, but nothing official made. They were, well, we would like you to come back to talk to us. So I've been working there since March. March 25th was the day I started, and I love it. And for me, I thought it was something small. I was just an oil changer, sorts like that. But with the skills that I want to acquire, because with skills and knowledge, it never stops. You always learn something. You're always going to learn something. It never stops, and that's the best part about it. So I told them where I wanted to be, and I would like to work more hands-on, you know, with engines and everything, but I really like engines. They're my thing. And I've recently peaked with transmissions. But that is out of the question right now. But I spoke with them, and I think he was our parts guy, Marcus Eagleswood. I'm pretty sure he had worked with Mr. Richard for a long time. And I told him, hey, Marcus, Richard was my instructor. He's like, oh yeah, I know that guy. And you know, they went back and forth. And my instructor, Mr. Richard, is also a master tech at Nissan. So that was also extra inspiration for me to go. And growing up seeing my mom being a single mother and working her own vehicles and making things happen, she was Miss Make It Happen. So that inspired me to be Miss Make It Happen. And I'm making it happen. I'm really excited about that. But with them seeing how much I I really want to put my effort into this, they started getting me to things. I did not know how to work a computer to program a car. I do now, and it's only been a few months. I reprogrammed keys, fixed door actuators and stores like that. I'm not good with electronics, guys. That is my weakest point. But they have helped me, and they have allowed me to expand my skills and my knowledge about things. So I am really excited with the crew that I work with and the people I've met along this journey. They have supported me and helped me in some shape or form, and I'm extremely grateful for that because I have big dreams and big goals, and I aspire for it one day. And I thank you for speaking with us today.
Mahogany and Denise, tell us about your time in the actual automotive program, How'd you like it? How'd you like your classes? I see y'all over there a lot. You know, how was it with Mr. Richard and the other students? What y'all learn, and how'd you feel when you first went in to the program?
For me, it was really funny because my first day, I did not know if I walked in the right classroom. I walked in all guys and it was pure silence. I was like, uh-oh, I'm not supposed to be here. And I left and I had asked somebody if that was the right class. They were like, yeah. So I came back in and I was like, oh, I'm supposed to be here. But going through the classes, I found them really exciting. And I can't remember who, someone was talking about questions and they never made you feel dumb about them. And Mr. Richard was like that. He was like, yes, ask questions. No matter how simple it was, how obvious it was, he never made you feel dumb about it, nor did your classmates do. They might joke with you, but you know, guys will be guys. But I loved it, and I always learned something every day. Even if it was a slow day, even if we didn't have much going on, there was always something happening and always something, you know, to learn about. So I enjoyed my time. And you grow really close with your classmates in a short span of time. Next thing you know, we're all hanging out. We're going to the events in Sowela as groups, like very, very large groups. But, you know, being the only females, we felt very welcome. At least I did. I know we all communicated, but we felt very welcome in our class.
I liked it. Mr. Richard is a very great teacher. I actually called him Papa because he reminds me of my grandfather. And like she said about the questions, me, I always have a question. That was my name. I have a question.
That's
Yeah. I don't have anything else.
all right. Thank you, ladies. Thank you. Welding is our speaker from Welding was unable to be here. Miss Cynthia Griffin was unable to be here. But what we will do when Mr. Laverne comes up to open up question and answers, we will answer any questions about welding that as much knowledge as we have. Because is anyone out there interested in welding? It's an amazing field. So, okay. So we will, okay. So we will answer questions. Mr. Laverne will take on the question and answer and also introduce financial aid.
As first of all, would you please give these speakers a round of applause? I hope you guys learned a lot from their stories, because to me it was very inspiring to know why they got into that field and some of the obstacles that they had to overcome. At this time, I'd like to, Ms. Rebecca Amy, our Financial Aid Director. So if anyone have any question about financial aid, Ms. Rebecca Amy is here to answer all your financial aid questions. Ms. Rebecca Amy.
Good afternoon. Just kind of talk about the different types of financial aid that we do offer here at Sowela. We participate in the federal Pell Grant, which if you qualify for a Pell Grant, you would not, that's money you don't have to pay back as long as you complete your semester. And to see if you qualify, you would need to complete the FAFSA application, which is the free application for federal student aid. You'll do that at studentaid.gov. We do have information sheets up front, and we can provide that. We also participate in, we have some state grants. One is like the Louisiana Go grant. If you're at least 25 or older and qualify for a Pell Grant, then you could qualify for that. That's up to $3,000 a year. We participate with the Federal Work Study Program. that you can get a part-time job working on campus. Normally, students can work 20 hours a week, and it pays roughly about $12 an hour. So you can go to school and then also go to work part-time. We have it's a federal grant, it's SEOG. That's also to see if you qualify, you would complete your FAFSA application. We do offer scholarships in most of the programs that they talked about today. You would just fill out one scholarship application each year, and we review it, and we're always getting donors that are submitting funding to provide for scholarships. We do not participate in the federal student loan program. So if you qualify for Pell Grants, you can complete a program and graduate debt-free here at Sowela. We do also the MJ Foster Grant. That's a new state grant. It's kind of, think of adult tops. So they just lower the age, and so as long as you're at least 20 years or older, you can fill out the FAFSA application. And if you qualify for the MJ Foster, you can get up to $3,200 per award year. So it doesn't quite cover the whole cost of tuition fees, but if you have other financial aid, that doesn't cover the cost of your tuition and fees, you could receive the MJ, and you can receive the MJ Foster for up to 3 years. Now, if you do like the CDL program or some of our workforce programs that you can complete in less than a year, it could cover up to $6,400 a year. Does anybody have any questions?
Thank you very much, Mr. Becker. All right, this time, this concludes this program. We do have snacks in the back, so feel free to take some home. Also, speakers, if they can kind of hang around a little bit, because in case you guys have any questions, you'd like to ask the speaker one-on-one, and also we're going to take pictures towards the end. So appreciate you guys being here. Thank you guys, okay?